Hello and welcome to the weekend edition of National Focus. I'm Jarna Hector, thanks for joining us. Topping the headlines, authorities concerned about the extent of corporal punishment inflicted on children, Dominica heavily impacted by sight-related disease, and CARICOM meeting held on island to discuss CSME outreach mission. All these stories and more when National Focus returns. Welcome back. Time now for the details of the news. Chief Welfare Officer Martin Anthony is concerned about the extent of corporal punishment inflicted on children. Anthony, while not ruling out the need for discipline, is saddened by the reports of abuse against children in the guise of discipline.
Children must be disciplined, but we have to be very careful, though, the way in which we go about disciplining children. I mean, we have testimonies, and we can talk about so many of them at the Welfare Division, where we see children being severely maltreated. I mean, there are times we are called in by schools to witness children who have come to school with broken arms as a result of being beaten by their parents. Children who have lost their eyesight because of being beaten. Children who have had their hands put in fire because and scolded because of certain behaviors. And one would say, is that the way to treat a child? There are a number of ways children can be disciplined, and we are not saying in any way that if you think that corporal punishment is the way you have to discipline your child, if you think so, but what we are saying is that there may be even better methods than corporal punishment.
The welfare official is also concerned that there are many children across the island who are still unregistered.
One example has been a challenge to us, and which we say is a right of the child, and I'm not lessening this. It's a right of a child to be registered. And we have a serious problem in the country where people make children and they don't register them. It's like they are stateless because they're not recognizing the laws of the state. That's a simple example. And we have had to put mechanisms in place to facilitate the registration of children, which is a right of a child. And just to see what we have put in place, and it's working at the Princess Margaret Hospital to help with the immediate registration of children. As long father and mother are present and both of them have accepted paternity, the child can be immediately registered.
In more news, Parliamentary Representative for the Portsmouth constituency, Honorable Ian Douglas, believes there needs to be more supervision of children at home and school. Douglas believes that this will play a key role in overall efforts to reduce the incidence of deviant behavior among young people.
We have to look at our schools from preschool to primary school. What are our teachers imparting within our students? Some of our teachers spend more time because students go to school from 8 to 4. So the teachers really spend more time with our children than we actually do because we are at work most of the time. Even when we get back into the home, what is the level of supervision that we exercise over our children? Are we still our brother's keeper? Are we still able to look at a child on the road and impart the kind of discipline that is needed to keep the child on the straight and narrow? And these are some of the issues that we must address tonight. Because if we don't, then that behavior is going to, like I said, undermine our ability to continue to grow and develop and to progress.
Police Commissioner Cyril Carrett has repeated calls to members of the public to report all forms of criminal activity to local police. The Commissioner's latest appeal was made on Thursday evening in Portsmouth as government continued its community meetings to discuss the incidents of crime and violence on the island.
a lot of people around the various communities see things happening and they give a blind eye to the things that are happening. We have had incidents in Portsmouth. In Portsmouth, I am sure things happen in broad daylight and persons say absolutely nothing, or they tell other persons to say nothing. When those things happen, some people may do them in fear, but when you do that, you are really surrendering your freedom to criminals.
The commissioner also reminded residents of the northern town that if there are concerns about the police response to deviant behavior or their interaction with the public, they should be reported to a higher rank of the police force. He guarantees that if brought to the attention of the superior of the police officer in question, the matter will be addressed.
I am sure that those things happened a while back. And to wait at this time to come to deal with it, I consider it to be rather unfortunate. And I have said, and I will reiterate here again, that the police force is a hierarchical system. And if you go to a constable, you do not get satisfaction, you go to the corporal. If you do not get satisfaction, you go up, and the AG just said that. And you go as far as the deputy chief of police to make your report. I am positive that you will get some satisfaction. And my lines are open. They are open.
Dominica is heavily impacted by sight-related disease. This according to local ophthalmologist Dr. Hazel Shillingford-Ricketts. Dr. Ricketts, in an interview with GIS News, said that the sight-related diseases affecting Dominica are cataracts, glaucoma, diabetic retinopathy, and refractive errors. Ricketts said that generally 6 out of every 8 blind diagnoses can be prevented or reversed. Cataracts is named as one of those reversible diseases, as 50% of its causes can be prevented, unlike glaucoma, which mostly affects black people and becomes irreversible if not addressed. Dr. Ricketts also named diabetic retinopathy as a disease easily prevented since it is a consequence of ill-maintained diabetes. Diabetic retinopathy involves weakening of the blood vessels in the eye, causing leakage of blood or fluid. Dr. Ricketts said that the longer a person has diabetes, the more likely the development of this disease. She also said that 30% of diabetics will develop this disease, which is significant because 17% of Dominicans are living with diabetes. However, by monitoring one's blood sugar and exercising regularly, persons can avoid this disease. Another disease heavily impacting the island is refractive errors. Dr. Ricketts explains.
Refractive errors is where the eye cannot focus the image properly because either they are far-sighted, which is called hyperopia, or they are nearsighted, called myopia, or they have what is called astigmatism, where the cornea is not regular like in keratoconus and the image is not focused properly. Most of these persons, they are called what you call functionally blind. What do I mean by this? Without their glasses, when you test them, the level of vision you get is that of a blind person, 2400 or less. But if you give them glasses, most times you can get them to 20/20, 20/30, you can get them to see. So we have a number of persons walking around like this, and so by needing their glasses, by giving them glasses, we'll get them to see.
Dr. Ricketts noted that those sight-related diseases can be prevented by regular eye screening and immunization. She stressed the importance of immunization.
We are fortunate in Dominica in terms that a number of the diseases that cause blindness in other parts of the world, like Africa or even Haiti, we do not have it here. Why? Because of our excellent immunization rate. You have things like measles that can cause blindness. You have rubella, which we have not seen here in a number of years. I've never seen a child born and is blind from rubella because we have literally eliminated the disease from Dominica by immunizing our children against rubella. And so there are persons out there who are against immunization, but I will tell them it is an important treatment or important prevention method for blindness also, not only children getting sick and dying and so, but also blindness.
Dr. Ricketts said, however, that Dominica, as part of the Vision 2020 movement, is endeavoring to eradicate all forms of avoidable blindness by the year 2020. The CARICOM Single Market and Economy, CSME, was the subject of a 3-day meeting held in Roseau, dubbed Dominica CSME Outreach Mission. The June 6th to 8th meeting examined how CARICOM has impacted the lives of community nationals, the OECS Economic Union, and the Caribbean Court of Justice. GIS News spoke with Silas Hamilton, who is in charge of communications for CSME. He discussed the objective of the meeting.
It's to ratchet up that CSME is still relevant, that we still have the only way forward as small island developing states is being united together, and some of the specific things that the councils and our conference of heads of government would have said they wanted us to attain, letting the Dominican public know where we are and collaborating with the Ministry of Trade, the government of Dominica, in assisting their own focal points and officers on the ground, giving them a little shot in the arm that we are also here as their CARICOM Secretariat to assist.
Hamilton rejected concerns that the CSME integration movement may be stagnant. He said that there is definitely behind-the-scenes activity.
You can only take your cue from our leaders, and they are all on board regarding the CARICOM single market and economy. There are challenges, as you would have in any economic union, in any trade bloc, and sometimes we have to look at where the glass is in terms of the achievements. We have a signed revised Treaty of Chagaramas. It's been revised at this moment. We have some categories of persons who can move. We have individuals who are in fact moving. We have the Caribbean Court of Justice and other institutions that are there. And I think it is making sure that these benefits are consolidated so persons can access them.
The CSME official hinted at the work currently ongoing regarding the CSME integration movement.
I think that the governments, the heads of government at their last meeting, they took a decision. Instead of putting more things in place, they said, let's take a break and consolidate what we have already done. You have 10 categories of persons who were said to be able to move as skilled nationals. How many actually can move? Most countries have the 5 categories: the media workers, the university graduates, the sports persons, etc., and nurses. The other 5, let us make sure that the legislation is in place for them before you go and add more categories. So I think that is what is happening and the focus is at this moment. And also the other issues such as government procurement, such as ensuring that CSME can operate more smoothly. Those, I think, are the focus at this moment.
Hamilton described one hurdle facing the CARICOM single market and economy.
I think one of the first hurdles that we have to get over is a mindset. A lot of our businesses still see the national market. And maybe you can't really blame them because it's that same education and that same thrust they need to go out and find the opportunities. So I think the first and the main one is to see this larger market. And if we can start from that, the others will fall into place. The challenges of movement of capital, some challenges in terms of rights of establishment, some challenges in terms of free movement. So the regimes are there to ensure you have facilitation of services. But it is the knowledge, it is getting over some of the issues that you may have at border control. And we all know them. Once you can find ourselves being educated about that as a Dominican, you have the right to move to another country. You have the right as a businessman to set up your business as a consultant. You don't have to move from Dominica. The mechanisms are there. And once you're educated about them and you seek the information, it should be provided.
Meantime, Lester Rivera, Executive Director of Dominica Coalition of Services, was one of the presenters at the CSME outreach meeting, and in an interview with GIS News, he discussed the highlights of his presentation.
The mission is to bring various subsectors, all the subsectors and industry in the services sector, to bring them together for their development, to identify export opportunities on their behalf, training needs to advocate and lobby on their behalf, and to assist the various associations with a greater export orientation, and also to organize them in a way that can really contribute to meeting the needs of the various members that are part of the associations that represent the subsectors. So essentially, I'll be looking at the role that the coalition has played already in developing associations, bringing them together, building a membership base, the data that has been collected on the sector. So primarily, we need to have data on the sector to make decisions, and this is also significant because there's usually a limitation, a paucity, you could say, of data in relation to services. So this will help significantly in decision making. So we have done quite a bit of that in terms of collecting data on the services sector, organizing the sector, first of all, engaging existing associations, and also seeking to develop new associations, for instance, in health and spa and wellness, ICT, the management consultants, even a fashion industry association we're looking to help to develop.
Riviere explained that Dominica's coalition of services is part of a global network of service leagues.
The Dominica Coalition is part of a larger network, a regional network of coalitions. There's a Caribbean network of service coalitions, and this network is playing a pivotal role in terms of mutual recognition agreements mutual recognition agreements help service providers, allow them to have greater access into markets which they wouldn't have before because there'll be questions about their qualifications. So it's a matter of establishing a common ground for accepting qualifications of service providers in the region, in Dominica, to enter into Europe, Canada, and so on and so forth. So so I was saying that the network, being part of a network, we have done a lot of work so far in helping to pull that together in terms of providing assistance for this work to finalize these recognition agreements on behalf of the architects, first of all, and the engineers. And the coalition is also part of a larger global services network, which is represented by the U.S. Coalition of Service Industries. So they have a seat on the WTO in terms of decision making for services overall. So we can feed information to them, and they can make representation on behalf of Dominica to advance our needs, our concerns.
Riviere described the role of his office in the CSME movement.
The coalition has a role to help an island like ours, Dominica, one of the lesser developed countries in CARICOM, to integrate into the CSME. That service providers can meet the standard requirements, qualification requirements for entering into other territories in the CSME. Also building linkages, associations in Dominica can get support from larger associations.
According to Riviere, the Dominica Coalition of Services has negotiated 220 service providers to be integrated into the CARICOM single market and economy. And that's the English segment of the news. We now join McPherson St. Luce for the Creole highlights.
Alors tout le monde, bienvenue à cette nouvelle en créole. Non, moi c'est McPherson St. Luce. Premièrement, ministre de l'Éducation, Honorable Peter Saint-Jean, qui a fait parole que le ministre de l'Éducation bien plaisir pour tout le monde qui est à l'école Dominique, recevoir en langage français. Honorable Saint-Jean fait parole celle-là pendant la présentation. Ou là, ce teacher-là recevoir certificat primaire semaine celle-là. Ministre Saint-Jean dit tout le monde celle-là pas qu'en élonger relation entre Dominique et français, mais sans même qu'avancer étudiant apprendre un langage étranger. Et des programmes celle-là qui a complémenté bien fort committement gouvernement Labour Party, avancer système éducation, ou la teacher qui a tapé traitement. Honorable Saint-Jean complémenté ce teacher-là assez activement, et puis il aussi créé assez pour continuer à avancer quoi, même si le programme-là venu au bout pour eux. Le programme ça c'était pour avancer capacité ces teachers ça montrer langage français là en l'école tout en pays là. En autre nouvelle, ministre Everyone qui a avancé manière Environmental Coordinating Unit qui a fonctionné. Awal Salah sorti od Minister everyone, Honorable Dr. Kenneth Darrow, c'est l'homme ministre Darrow, département Salah qui travaille plus formidable qui concerne bagages soutenables et d'autres bagages qui concerne environnement.
Ça nous voit c'est Environmental Coordinated Unit, ça c'est set up comme une année après, mais c'est plus pour assurer que Dominique joue une obligation à base international protocole. Mais quand prominence là, l'importance que environ avec climate change, avec ça, ok, capon, c'est pas décade là, nous c'est temps pour nous faire ici, ouais, avec changer dans un full-fledged département gouvernement, peut-être c'est yo qui est né, est-ce qu'on savent toutes ces lois à 9 ça nous qu'à parler compte.
Autorité pays OECS joint semaine Salah qui servi technologie conférence vidéo, on a discuté préparation pour inauguration assemblée OECS. Assemblée là d'accord que inauguration Salah qui supposé prendre place en Antigua le 15 juin l'année salam qui ont envoyé pour une autre date plus tard. Revise the Treaty of Boston qui a fait provision pour assemblée OECS. Yon si bagay là qui est important en autorité OECS. D'autres aspects OECS c'est autorité chef c'est gouvernement là, conseil ministère économique et puis OECS Commission. Ces chefs là d'accord qui ont mérité plus de temps préparé pour l'inauguration cela, comme ça même qui est positionné OECS bien branché pour l'inauguration là. Ils ont annoncé une date 9 pour l'inauguration là, après grand meeting autorité là qui prend place en Saint Vincent and the Grenadines, le 10 pour le 13 juin l'année cela. Finalement, membre du département médical Dominique a toujours attendu un meeting l'autre pays. Ou la discussion qu'a tient tapé drogue qui plus moderne traiter maladie et glaucome. Tout pays OECS qui a porté drogue médicale en bas on sel par sol OECS. Parole celle-là qui a sorti au docteur Zé en ministre en santé, docteur Hazel Shillingford Ricketts.
Après ça, nous faisons papier pour le gouvernement avec M. Thomas, avec Dr. St. Luce, qui a si comité drogue là. Yo, allé dans un meeting OECS, parce qu'il y a Dominique, nous pas qu'à acheter, oui, mais nous pas connu. Nous qu'à acheter avec plusieurs d'autres places, comme Saint-Lucie, Saint-Vincent. So, là, nous les faisons changer, nous pour discuter avec eux, pour yo agréer avec nous, pour faire décision ça là. Discussion ça là déjà faite. So, nous expect d'autres dernier plus tard l'année ça là. D'être nous ça taper c'est good ça là. So, nous ça ba moun ça yo paye. Bye. Moi voulais ça fait parce qu'il a aidé moi autant pour empêcher moun venir avec parce qu'il y a ni glaucome en zéro.
Messieurs, mesdames, ça c'est tout pour nouvelle à Creole pour à présent. Non, moi c'est McPherson and Luce. Un bon week-end.
When we come back, we'll bring you the upcoming events and government notices. Please stay tuned.
Do you have uncovered water storage drums around your home? Do you dispose of old tires, cans, and old containers capable of holding water anywhere in your environment? Are you being bitten by mosquitoes, particularly at dusk and early morning? Do you keep houseplants in water? Do you spend your hard-earned cash to control mosquitoes? Has your community experienced dengue fever outbreaks? If your answer is yes, to at least 3 questions above, you are at risk to dengue fever. Join the fight against dengue fever. The responsibility for a dengue-free Dominica lies with you. So, get rid of the Aedes aegypti mosquito.
The Division of Agriculture wishes to inform purchasers and consumers of Irish potatoes that crops from Girodel, Bellevue Chopin, and other selected farmers island-wide are available for sale. Interested persons who require a list of these farmers should contact the Extension Officers of the South Region or the Division of Agriculture Information Unit, Botanic Gardens, Roseau, or call 266-3804 or 266-3805. The general public is hereby notified that the names of persons considered deserving of an honor for meritorious service to the State of Dominica shall be submitted to the Cabinet Secretary no later than June 30th, 2012. Recommendations should be forwarded under confidential cover to the Secretary to the Cabinet, Cabinet Secretariat Office of the Prime Minister, Financial Center, Kennedy Avenue, Roseau, or email to allportg@dominica.gov.dm. All concerned are asked to note the following hurricane shelters and shelter managers for the communities of Pebush, Dodan, and Benz. Pebush hurricane shelters are as follows. 1. The ground floor of the Pebush Baptist Church, where the shelter manager is Clive Honore and the assistant manager is Cotton Farrell. 2. The ground floor of the Pebush Government School, the shelter manager is Jerome Lockhart and the assistant is Junie Paul. 3. The Pebush Resource Center, the shelter manager is David Stout and his assistant is Lennox Joseph. Dodan, your hurricane shelter, is the Dodan Government School and the shelter manager is Joycelyn Cambron. The assistant shelter manager is Jervis Walter. Benz, you have 3 hurricane shelters and they are 1. The top floor of the Benz Primary School. The shelter manager is Isaiah Theodore and his assistant is Clitson Dodds. 2. The ground floor of the Benz Primary School. Shelter manager Etienne Joseph. 3. The Benz Seventh-day Adventist Church. The shelter manager is Ezra Fabian and his assistants are Lequence Andrew and Raymond Stevens. Members of the public are asked to take note of the following numbers which could prove useful during the hurricane season. The Office of Disaster Management, GIS Dominica, telephone number 448-8831 or 448-7777, or visit their website at odm.gov.dm or email odm@dominica.gov.dm. The Dominica Met Service, Canefield Airport, Dominica, telephone number 449-1990, fax number 449-2020, or email metoffcan@cwdom.dm. The Dominica Met Service, Melville Hall Airport, Dominica. Telephone number 445-7878, fax number 445-7849, or email metoffmar@cwdom.dm or metoffice@cwdom.dm. The weather hotline is 447-5555 or visit their website at weather.gov.dm for updated weather reports. Up next, the tip of the day. Our tip today is about instantly building self-confidence. One of the easiest ways to tell how a person feels about herself is to examine her walk. Is it slow, tired, painful, or is it energetic and purposeful? People with confidence walk quickly. They have places to go, people to see, and important work to do. Even if you are not in a hurry, you can increase your self-confidence by putting some pep in your step. Walking 25% faster will make you look and feel more important. And that's National Focus. As usual, we invite your suggestions or comments. Please feel free to drop us an email at gis@dominica.gov.dm, or you can visit our website at news.gov.dm, or you could visit our GIS Dominica page on YouTube and Facebook. On behalf of the entire news production team, I'm Jarna Hector. Thanks for watching.